All right. My name is Lukas Stanton. I'm a horticulture intern here at the Arboretum for the summer of 2025. This here is Cercis canadensis Ruby Falls. It is a member of the Fabaceae family. It is a weeping cultivar of the eastern redbud. In the spring, it has nice pink flowers going all along the stems, kind of creating a floral fountain look. It was bred by NC State's own Denny Warner. He was a former professor at NC State and a former director of the Arboretum here. It's a smaller deciduous shrub, getting up to 6 to 8 feet and 3 to 4 feet wide. It is hardy from zone 5A to 9B. The shrub can be used as a specimen plant, a corner piece, mixed shrub. Is very versatile. I've even seen people use it as a ground cover. Something really cool about this plant is this is the summer look, but in the winter when it defoliates, it has this nice zigzag pattern here, which kind of gives it a nice winter interest and allows it to have interest all year long, really.
Would it do better in shade or sun or what?
It typically does better in full sun to part shade.
Does the color change depending on the amount of sunlight you get?
I'm not sure about that. I know in the late summer it'll start to change to a greenish gold as it kind of prepares for the fall and for its fall defoliation.
Is this as tall as it gets, or can it get taller than this?
It can get maybe a foot taller, but this is probably this one's max height here.
Alrighty. So this is Citrus trifoliata flying dragon. It's one of the most cold hardy cultivated oranges here available today. It belongs to the Rutaceae family, which is a citrus family. It's a deciduous shrub that typically reaches a height of 8 to 15 feet with a 15-foot spread. Its dense sculptural form is made more dramatic by the crooked contorted stems that are lined with thorns all up and down it. In the spring, the flying dragon will produce these delicate white flowers that will then turn into this fuzzy fruit. It's very acidic, so it's not very tasty to eat raw, but it can be cooked down into some jellies and jams that may be a little delicious, but I've never tried it, so I don't know. The citrus can be grown in full sun to part shade, and it's often used in gardens as a living barrier or hedge, thanks to its dense, thorny growth. It also is not only effective for security in some cases, but it adds significant visual interest in the winter when it loses its leaves. It has this nice thorny, crooked branches that are green that look good in the seasonal landscape. It can recede, and it's been known to be kind of invasive in some areas if it's not in a cultivated space. But it looks wonderful. It grows to be a pretty good size. What captivates me most about this plant is its unique architecture. I believe it's wonderful. It's dense, it's good, and it creates a fruit that you can't miss. So, any questions?
The birds like the fruit?
No.
Okay.
I don't think it's tasty for anyone. Yeah, it's very acidic. I know a few people who've tried them and they say it's not very good. So, I don't think they're, yes ma'am.
Do you know if deer would eat that?
I think deer would have a problem eating this. They can get to the leaves, but if you look close enough to it, there's thorns going up and down. I actually got one stuck in me yesterday. So it was fun, but they're pretty thorny. So if they bite into it, I think won't bite it again. So, and if y'all come and feel the fruit too, if you're careful enough, they are fuzzy. They are really cool. There you go. Thank you, Greg. But yeah, that's all I have for that one.
Okay. We're looking down here. This is a plant with an especially misleading common name, but one that adds undeniable charm and texture to any shaded space. This is Saxifraga stolonifera Windcliff silver, more commonly known as the strawberry begonia. Despite the name, it's neither a strawberry nor a begonia. It's actually a member of the Saxifragaceae family. The genus name Saxifraga means stonebreaker in Latin, a reference to this plant's ability to thrive in the crevices of rocks, often on shady cliffs and mossy outcrops. As the roots expand, they can slowly fracture the stone, earning the plant its name. The species name stolonifera means having stolons, and if you've ever grown strawberries, you'll notice a similar habit here. This plant spreads readily through thin, thread-like runners, making it a great choice for ground cover. Windcliff silver is a cultivar introduced by Dan Hinckley from his garden in Windcliff in Washington State. The species itself is native to a wide region stretching from Japan through Myanmar and Vietnam, where it grows naturally in shaded forested environments. Its flowers are delicate and wispy, white with fine details, and appear in late spring to early summer. But this plant is primarily prized for its foliage. The leaves are coarse and heart-shaped, with elegant scalloped edges, dark green with silver veining on top, and an understated blank underside. It's evergreen depending on your climate and can tolerate heavy clay soils, which is a valuable trait. It prefers shade, reaches around 6 inches in height, and spreads up to 3 feet wide, making it an excellent choice for use as an ornamental ground cover, as well as a graceful spiller in containers or hanging baskets indoors or out. And if you look near our waterfall, you may notice it growing there, thriving in the shaded, humid microclimate that suits it so well. Does anyone have any questions? Do they have variegation? They have this silver veining. So the leaf itself is green, but all the veins are a silver color. Yes, of course. Anything else? So do they die back in the winter? They should be evergreen. I believe Tim has remarked that they keep their foliage year round. Okay, I think we're gonna go up to the rooftop. Now to a small but showy plant, Origanum acutidens. This plant is native to the temperate regions of the eastern Mediterranean and belongs to the mint family, Lamiaceae. It's a low-growing deciduous perennial, staying around 6 to 12 inches tall. It spreads rhizomatically, so it can be used as a ground cover if properly maintained. It's an especially good fit for xeriscaping or hot, sunny locations because it's very heat tolerant, prefers dry soils, and grows best in full sun. It also has a strong resistance to deer, slugs, and heat stress, making it a low-maintenance option for tough conditions. One of its best-known traits is its aromatic foliage, which has culinary, medicinal, and ornamental value. It's commonly used in traditional Mediterranean cuisine, where it adds flavors to meats, sauces, and stews. For peak flavor, the leaves are best harvested before flowering, and they can be used fresh or dried to store. But what really draws me to Origanum acutidens is its bright chartreuse bracts and purple flowers. The flowers themselves are small, tubular, and densely clustered, peeking out from the bracts in a way that looks like little chandeliers. While the blooms are relatively short-lived, just 1 to 2 weeks, the bracts stick around much longer. The bracts start as a punchy lime chartreuse and slowly fade into a mauve pink as the season progresses. These bract spikes are fantastic in floral arrangements. Actually, I was convinced to include this plant after seeing Marty, a floral arrangement volunteer, use it in a beautiful display in the McSwain Center a few weeks ago. It's always exciting to see a plant shine in a new context. Does anyone have any questions? So does it have to grow in a xeric garden? It prefers really well-drained, dry soils. It really does thrive best since it's native to the Mediterranean. It likes dry, well-drained soils and full sun, hot temperatures.
And does it come back each year?
It is a perennial, so it should come back each year. I don't know how long-lived it is necessarily, but you know, if it likes its spot, it should come back. So, yeah, of course. Okay, we can move on to the mixed border or perennial border now. This is Hibiscus grandiflorus, a North American native hibiscus that brings both durability and beauty to the garden. It's an herbaceous shrub-like perennial in the Malvaceae family with an upright form that typically grows 2 to 4 feet wide and 6 to 8 feet tall. It stays pretty narrow, great for tight planting areas where you still want vertical impact. What makes this plant so memorable, though, are its luxurious velvety silver leaves. They have a soft texture and a subtle shimmer that give them a glistening, almost luminous quality in the landscape. It's a fantastic foliage plant and works well as a focal point, whether in a sensory garden, a large container, or in a rain garden. In terms of growing conditions, this plant thrives in full sun but can tolerate part sun as well. It's native to coastal salt marshes, so it's naturally adapted to flooding and standing water. Despite that, it's also capable of handling periods of drought, which makes it an exceptionally tough and versatile plant for a wide range of sites. As for the blooms, they're a bit more modest compared to showier hibiscus cultivars, having soft pink flowers that are smaller and more strappy. They bloom throughout the summer, with each bloom lasting just 1 to 2 nights, and their flowering period is shorter than other hibiscus hybrids. But here's the thing. I don't love this plant because of the flowers. They're definitely a nice touch, but for me, the standout feature is really the foliage and overall form. That soft, shimmering texture brings something special to a planting. It draws people in visually and invites interaction, especially in sensory-focused spaces. It's worth noting that Hibiscus grandiflorus can be short-lived, so it may not be a long-term anchor in every garden. But it's certainly a tough and beautiful choice, especially in the right context. And like many perennials, it will die back in the winter and reemerge in the spring with new growth. Does anyone have any questions? Does it need any pruning? Not that I'm aware of, because it does die back every winter, so as long as you're cutting it back in the winter, it should stay a relatively manageable height. I don't see any pruning cuts on this. It is also resistant to sawfly, so you won't have any unsightly leaves that you would want to pull off. So, alrighty, moving on.
I hope y'all took the time when coming through this Carpinus to look at the wonderful trunk structure that it makes holding up its beautiful cascades. This is Carpinus betulus pendula. It is a weeping cultivar of the European hornbeam, belonging to the Betulaceae family. It typically matures to about 20 to 30 feet, but it can definitely grow farther than that, but in both height and spread, and it forms this beautiful cascading canopy. In the early spring, just before the foliage emerges, this tree will produce subtle wind-pollinated flowers called catkins. The female catkins are they're green, whereas the male catkins are typically yellow. It is a quiet, but it's a very important part of the plant's reproductive cycle. If you see, I can take one and show you guys. If you see, this is the leftover of the bloom. Its fruit, it creates this almost nut-like seed with a 3-lobed bract around it. I can pass that around if you want to look at that. What distinguishes this cultivar, I think, is its striking architectural form. It's viewed from beneath the branches. It creates just a graceful enveloping structure that has both visual interest and a sense of quiet enclosure. I think it just looks so whimsical. It looks good, I think, would be in like a fairy garden or some kind of fun thing like that. It works good in the landscape or also as a specimen planting in both formal and naturalistic landscapes. As the story goes, I'm heard, when they were creating the berms, Mark and Greg decided, well, let's see what we can do. And unfortunately, this was on their list of plants to get rid of, but Justin Durango had the idea of cutting out this beautiful pathway through the plant. And honestly, that was the reason I chose the plant, because you can go underneath it, you can see it and view it in all of its beautiful, graceful glory, all from all sides. So, any questions? Yes.
Is this as big as it gets?
You know, I'm not quite sure, but I feel like it could get bigger. I mean, from what I saw, it says it can get 20 to 30 feet, but I've also read up on other things. I mean, as you know, when they write stuff, plants get bigger than what they say they do, so yes.
Did you guys have to prune it back to form that kind of like cave-like structure?
Yeah, from what I can tell, I haven't checked up on this, but Mark and Greg can correct me. You can tell underneath here that there have been some branches that have been pruned. I feel like to make that cave structure, and probably in the past, whether it had been dead branches or just ones that needed to move out of the way. So yes, I believe we did prune some to get it to be like that. So any questions or comments?
Cool plant.
Cool plant, yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, if not, I guess we will move on to the next one.
My next plant today is Picea pungens thum. It's a dwarf Colorado spruce. What makes this plant stand out is its amazing blue foliage. This foliage is much more prominent in the spring when it's producing new growth. It is a native of the Rocky Mountains, so it's more used to a cooler climate, but it can survive here in the south with consistent soil moisture and a shaded area like this. However, it can get needle scorching, as you can see here from our couple weeks ago when we had the intense heat. It defoliated a little bit. but it's still a really nice shrub. It can be used as a specimen piece or in a mixed border. It is also drought tolerant and deer resistant, which just makes it a really underused plant here in the South. It's in the Pinaceae family, so it's a spruce. I do not know how old this one is. I'm assuming it's old because this is a pretty decent size for this plant. They only grow 1 to 6 inches a year, so this one's been around for a while, I would assume.
Okay, so you reckon this is about like full mature size of it?
Definitely, yeah. It won't get much bigger, especially here in the South with the heat. It grows much slower here. It's probably on the lower end of that 1 to 6 inches.
Oh, how do you propagate this?
This one, you'd likely propagate it from, I don't know if you could do softwood cuttings here. It would probably work better softwood cuttings where it's from, but this one I know you could propagate it from grafting.
Next we have an honorable mention. This is hibiscus cultivar Jackie Grant. While grandiflorus over at the perennial border brings a soft, subtle presence, hibiscus Jackie Grant is the opposite. It's big, bold, and all about the blooms. This cultivar was selected by Greg Grant and named after his mother, Jackie Grant. It's a sterile variety, which means it puts more energy into flower production rather than making seed, and the result is an impressive floral display. Jackie Grant is a cross between Blue River 2, a white flowering cultivar, and Moy Grande, which contains genetic material from Hibiscus grandiflorus. That lineage gives this plant some useful traits, including scabrous leaves and resistance to sawfly damage, an issue common to many hibiscus cultivars. A hybrid that combines the tactile quality of grandiflorus with the bloom power of cultivars like Jackie Grant could be a real game changer. It's a broadleaf deciduous perennial, typically growing about 4 to 6 feet tall and wide, with a well-rounded, full form. The foliage isn't as velvety or soft as grandiflorus, but you can't beat the blooms. Large, showy, and consistently producing from late spring to early fall. Personally, I'd love to see more breeding that incorporates Hibiscus grandiflorus into hybrids like this one. Alrighty, any questions? It flowers, I think, from early spring to late summer, but let me just check again. Late spring to early fall. Sorry. Alrighty, any other questions? How do we prevent Japanese beetle damage on these hibiscus? So for one thing, it does have a little bit of insect damage. It has more sawfly resistance than other hibiscus cultivars, but I don't think that we have a large June beetle presence at the Arboretum in general. This year, Tim has noticed more coming in, and they're going for our roses currently, but that's not to say that this isn't getting June beetle damage. I just am not positive what is eating a little bit of this plant.
So right here we have a hibiscus cherry chocolate. It's an herbaceous shrub that is part of the Malvaceae family. Does anybody else know what other plant is in the Malvaceae family?
Chocolate.
Yep, chocolate. Cocoa beans is also part of the Malvaceae family. This here was planted in 2020, and it's native here in North America, so it was bred here. As you can see, it emerges in the spring with attractive dark olive foliage, and it forms a compact clump, and then it blooms in midsummer, late summer, and it blooms large 8 to 9 inch three-dimensional flowers that are white with intense deep peak veining, as you can see right here, and a large red eye, as you can see. It grows up to 4 to 5 feet tall, and it's hardy in zones 4 to 9. So if I were a deer, this looks edible. It looks good. It looks like candy. I would want to eat it, but don't worry, deer won't eat this. So it's deer resistant. It needs well-drained soil and consistent watering, so it's preferred to keep it watered before it blooms so it can emerge lush foliage and large flowers. And as you can see, this is a really sunny area, so it takes full sun, and it can also take part shade. And you can also deadhead to clean up when it's done flowering and mulch over it during the winter so it can come back. And one thing just to be aware of is beware of Japanese beetles and sawfly. This susceptible to those kind of insects. Any questions? Okay, next one. So next up, we have the Chamaecyparis piscifera gecko. It's a coniferous shrub that's part of the Cyperaceae family. The reason why I like this plant because it's so fluffy. Like I can almost give it a hug. It's so fluffy. And I'll pass around the needle. The leaves, like you can feel it, and it's really soft. It's a woody shrub that can grow up to 18 inches tall and 10 inches wide. So they're fairly small. They're fairly dwarf. It's a species native to Japan, and this one was planted in the Arboretum in 2013. It is hardy in zones 4 through 8 and could take sun and part shade. So right here, it's pretty sunny area, so it does pretty well here. Once established, it's drought tolerant and adapts to various soil types, but it can burn during the summer. As you can tell, it's starting to burn a little bit right here. There are no true fruit or true flowers on the gecko, so it can be propagated by stem cuttings during mid to late fall. And it's deer resistant as well, and it is susceptible to bagworms and juniper blight. Any questions? Okay, ready for the next one? Yep. So next up, I have this Acer palmatum hemisojo. It's part of the Sapindaceae family, and it grows in light shade. It can grow up to 4 to 5 feet high. The reason why I like this is because of the color of the foliage. Like the cherry chocolate, it was a mix of green and red, and this one also, and I guess I like the combination of those colors on the plants. It has serrated leaves with 5 to 9 lobes that are 2 to 5 inches, and it's a cute small tree. I feel like it would be perfect for your patio, like in your backyard somewhere. This tree here was planted in 2012 at the Arboretum, so this is the tallest I'll pretty much get. This kind of species was discovered in Japan in 1994, so it's native to Japan and Korea. It's hardy in zones 5 through 9, and it will retain its red color very well. As you can see, it's maroon with some maroon-like color with some green foliage. And during the fall, when it's getting ready for the leaves to fall, it'll become a dark, like deep maroon color with very beautiful color. And fun fact, hemi means the tree has smaller leaves, and sojo means it's described as deep maroon summer color. And this is deer resistant and can tolerate drought.
All right, my final plant today is Viburnum lantana variegatum. This is a slow growing shrub due to its variegation, but that's really what makes it stand out. It's got this cartoon-like variegation on it. This one looks small and scrawny right now because it was covered up by this tree, and when we pruned it back, we saw this, and it's flushed out a lot since we pruned it back. This is a member of the Doxaceae family. It is hardy all the way down to zone 4. In order to produce the best variegation, it needs full sun to part shade, which this one is getting pretty well. As you can see, the variegation on it's really prime state. It is also deer and rabbit resistant, which is why I believe it is an extremely underused plant in the landscape. You can use this one as a specimen piece or even in a mixed border as well.
Is this one evergreen?
It's not evergreen. I believe it defoliates, but in the spring it has a nice raceme inflorescence.
Okay.
So it has a really pretty flower as well.
So you said that this one was like really shaded out by stuff around it.
Yeah, extremely.
What do you reckon its like max size would be if it was given appropriate conditions?
I believe it can get all the way up to 10 to 15 feet if it's got enough time and space to grow. This one will probably not reach that just because of all the shade that it's getting here and blocked out. But if it was in the prime space, it could get pretty big.
Soil conditions?
It's drought tolerant. I know that. I assume just moist, well-drained soil, and it'll do fine. It's pretty resistant to most things.
All right, so for our last and final plant, we are going out with the flame. Haha. This is Cercis canadensis flamethrower. It is a striking deciduous tree in the Fabaceae family. developed by Dennis Warner, who we talked about earlier, the former director of the J.C. Raulston Arboretum. This one was bred by combining Ruby Falls, which we talked about earlier, and Rising Sun. This compact cultivar will reach approximately 15 to 10 foot tall and wide, making it ideal for smaller landscapes or as a specimen planting. While its stems do exhibit a little less of the zigzag characteristic growth that some of the other red buds have, it definitely makes up with it with its exceptional foliage display. Throughout the growing season, the tree offers a dynamic color show. When the new leaves emerge, they will start off as a deep purple and then will slowly change to shades of yellow, orange, and then red. In early spring, before the new leaves emerge, flamethrower bursts into bloom with vibrant pinkish purple blooms all across the branches and sometimes often the trunk, which is a signature trait of the Cercis canadensis species. So this cultivar combines ornamental value with manageable size, and its colorful evolving foliage is one of the most, in my opinion, it's one of the most visually engaging red buds available today. So fall color, I believe it tends to, honestly, I think they go darker, or often they'll fade out and then fall off. I don't know if they go more red. I'm not quite sure with the fall color, but not anything crazy. And your other question, I'm sorry.
How old is that?
How old is this one? I'm not quite sure when this one was planted.
Probably 21 or 22 was planted.
Okay.
It's our only flamethrower in the Arboretum currently. So yeah, any other questions or anything? All right. Well, I believe that concludes our tour. Thank you guys.
Okay, so I'm gonna start off with one of Lukas' pick. He's also another intern here, but he's currently on vacation. So this right here is Cercis canadensis Ruby Falls. It's a deciduous tree in the bean family Fabaceae. Fun fact, Fabaceae, they're legumes and they're able to fixate their own nitrogen. So it's breeded for its weeping habit and dark purple leaves. It's made by crossing covey weeping and forest pansy. And it was bred by NC State's own Denny Warner, who also was a director of the Arboretum from 2005 through 2008. It's a smaller deciduous tree. It grows up to 6 to 8 feet tall and 3 to 4 feet wide. And it was planted here in 2021. This takes full sun and well-drained soil. It's relatively pest-free, but it can get like canker dieback, leaf spot, mildew. It's not common, but it can get some deer damage, but it's not that common. So during this early spring, it has beautiful star-shaped pink flowers with 4 to 5 petals along the branches, giving it a flowering fountain look. As you can see, it has alternate arrangement leaves that during the late summer, it will turn into a greenish gold. But yeah, this is Lukas' first plant.
All right. So this was another one of Lukas, our other interns. This was another one of his picks. This is Picea pungens thum, which is a compact blue spruce. It is a member of the Pinaceae family. And it's a slow-growing shrub reaching only about 1 to 6 inches per year in growth. The silver blue foliage really stands out, especially in the spring when the new growth wants to emerge. It's native to the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, and so it prefers cooler climates, though this cultivar can survive in the south with constant soil moisture. The prolonged heat and humidity can cause some needle scorching. As you can see, it looks a little sad right now, but you know, we received this plant in 1998, and so we're assuming it was planted around then. So it's definitely lived its time here. The compact shape makes a perfect shrub for a rock garden or a specimen planting. It is drought tolerant and deer resistant. And another fun fact that Lukas wanted to add in was that the name thum was commonly used term in dwarf plants in Germany. So, all right. Well, if y'all are ready, we can move on to the next plant.
Okay, So this is the other intern Lucas's final pick. This is Viburnum lantana variegatum. It is a deciduous shrub in the Vibernaceae family, capable of reaching 10 to 15 feet tall and wide at maturity. Although the specimen you see here is quite small, it is steadily flushing out to its full form due to Lucas recently pruning this canopy to let the light in. This is a slower growing cultivar compared to other species in the genus, but its standout feature is its striking foliage. Take a closer look and you'll notice dark green leaves, beautifully streaked and splashed with bright shades of yellow and green, a unique touch that brings light and texture to any landscape. Hardy from zones 4 to 7, this viburnum puts on an additional show from May to June when it produces abundant dome-shaped clusters of small white flowers. Though the blooms are not fragrant, they add a soft, delicate layer of interest, eventually giving way to fruit that shifts in color from green to red and finally to black. These seasonal changes provide valuable food and habitat, attracting a variety of pollinators and wildlife, including bees, birds, butterflies, and even hummingbirds. For the best leaf variegation, plant in full sun to part shade. It's also notably tough, tolerant of drought and poor soils, while being resistant to deer and rabbits. Overall, Viburnum lantana variegatum is a unique and underutilized choice for the garden. It works beautifully as a specimen plant in a mixed border or as part of a screening hedge, offering multi-season interest and dependable resilience in the landscape. Does anyone have any questions?
So can it be shrubby as well as tall? It's just however you want to shape it,
I think,
so to speak?
yeah, so it should be 10 to 15 feet tall and wide, so it will be more of a rounded shrub. It's just currently, it's trying to find the light, so she's reaching out, and it was a little bit sadder than this before Lucas opened this canopy up, because it was kind of just here, and since then, all this foliage has flushed out since he's let some more light in. So it was asking for just a little bit more. But once it does, it should hopefully start to fill out into more of a shrub form.